This week on the Bedroom Talk Show, we're discussing a very serious topic. We're discussing healing past the trauma. Today we're having a rape discussion. And if this is too much for you, please exit this live right now. With your host, Crystal J. And this week's special guest and my survivors are Jessica Jenkins, Kelsey, Yasi, and last but not least, Nicole, to help us talk about a serious topic. Stay tuned. Hey everyone, my name is Crystal J, and today we're having a very important topic. Today we're talking about rape. And if this is going to be too much for you or is a trigger warning, come back and watch another day when you can pause, come back, then whatever you need to do, because I know this topic is very, very, very hard to discuss. It has took me a while to discuss this. So we're going to get right into it. I'm going to introduce my first guest. My first guest is Nicole. And you guys, she is a woman who is a rape advocate. That's number one. She advocate for us to make our voice heard, us tell our stories and hold accountability, not for what they did to us, but for we can let go and heal past the trauma, hence the topic. And I want her to tell us her story.
Okay. Thank you, Crystal, for having me. I am a rape survivor. I was raped when I was 14 years old. I was on my way to meet a girlfriend. And first of all, I'm from Washington, D.C. And I grew up in a time where it felt like it was safe to at a young age to roam about the neighborhood because all of the neighbors knew you, all of the neighbors looked out for you. So on this particular day, I was going to meet a girlfriend, and I was going to meet a girlfriend at my junior high school at the time. So I know a lot of people say middle school, but we called it junior high school at the time. I was 14. I was on my way to meet a girlfriend, and a guy, and I looked older than my age. So people always said, you look more like you're 17 when you're 14. But I'm an introvert, so I never really liked the attention from boys. So I had on a big baggy white t-shirt, something that I always wore, and some jeans, and I would walk into the school to meet my girlfriend. And a man whom I didn't know came up behind me, and he just started talking to me. And I knew that I wasn't supposed to talk to strangers. So he asked me what my name was and where I was going. And I gave him a fake name. I told him my name was Deborah and I was going to meet my girlfriend. And he asked me how old I was. And I said I believe I said I was 14. I told him I was 14. He said, "Oh, wow, you look like you're about 17." So as we were walking, I was just blowing him off. He said, "Well, I'm going this way too. Do you mind if I walk with you?" I said, "Do whatever you feel." So it was bright daylight. It must have been 3 o'clock on a Sunday. And we were walking. And as we walked into the back of the school, the courtyard, I saw some guys playing basketball, and we walked past there and we got to the front of the school, and my girlfriend wasn't there. So he looked at me and he said, "Your girlfriend's not here." I said, "Oh no, she must not be here yet." And that's when he grabbed me from behind and he threw me into a rivet in the front of the school. And he pinned me down with his body. Now, this man, he seemed older to me at the time because I was only 14. He must have been in his early 40s. And I could smell that and I can still smell him to this day. I can smell that he smoked. I even know the brand that he smoked. I knew the cologne he had on. So he smoked Newports and he wore Aspen cologne. So now every time I smell Aspen cologne or smell this, Newport cigarettes, I immediately get sick. So he held me down and told me to take down my pants. And I said no. And that's when he began to strangle me. And I just felt like, well, I said in my head, this man is just going to have to kill me because I'm not taking my pants down. And he proceeded to strangle me. And at that point, I completely blacked out. Now, when I blacked out, I saw visions of my family crying at my funeral. And then I saw my grandmother who had already passed. She came to me and she said, "Nicole, it's not your time yet." And that moment, I opened my eyes and I said, "Please don't kill me. I'll do whatever you want. Just don't kill me." And I wasn't thinking about myself. I was thinking about how my family would feel if I were to die. So I then proceeded to urinate on myself. And he looked at me. He said, "You peed on yourself." And I said, "Yes, I'm so scared. Please don't do this." And he went ahead and did it anyway. And then he asked me to roll over on my stomach. And I said, "Please, no, please just let me up. I don't want to do this. Please, can you just let me up?" And he listened to me and he let me get up. And when we got up, it's so crazy because at the back of the school, there was the fourth district police department. So in my mind, I said, well, let me treat this guy nice so I could walk with him and I could turn him into the police. Like I really thought that I could do that. And I was crying. And then I saw a car roll down the street and I said, "Hey, help, help, help." And the car kept on going. He stopped and he looked at me and he ran the other way. So when I ran to the back of the school, I saw my friend there. So I was thinking to myself, why is she at the back of the school? So I'm thinking now she probably saw and she probably panicked and ran the other way. But we flagged down the police and I went to they called my family, my parents, and they were devastated. We went to the hospital and that's where they did a rape kit. But he had strangled me to the point where he busted all of the blood vessels in my eyes. So, the whites of your eyes, well, mine were red, completely red, because all of the blood vessels were popped. And that's my story. One of the things that I advocate about when the police were asking me, what happened or could I describe him? One of the things that happens to a lot of rape victims is survivors, I should say. I'm sorry. I use the word survivors, is that especially when they are very young and they don't know the person who has raped them. And by the way, that is very rare for that to happen. Usually a person is raped by someone that they do know. um, it is because of the trauma that the child, or even some women and some men as well, experience, that they're not able to give a clear description. So what made me become an advocate is because when I was 14, I was pulled into an interrogation room and I was interrogated by the police without my parents there. And they basically told me I was a liar, that I knew who the guy was, and why did I walk that way. It had gotten to the point where I was traumatized again by the police. And they just kept calling me back, wanting me to give them more information. I couldn't give them any more information because I just didn't have it to give to them. And that's one of the reasons why I became a hospital advocate for rape survivors and also a hotline counselor. That's my story.
I want to say that's a very powerful story. Um, yeah, you guys already we already talked, and y'all already know this is a very hard episode for me to produce. So I'm trying to be very sensitive to all my survivors, and that's why a lot of victims don't go to the police.
Mm-hmm.
That's why a lot of victims don't report it because we're going to be called a liar. And when I say survivors, I'm talking about men too. When
Yes.
men get raped too, I tried my hardest to find me a man who got raped, but nobody wants. Men are more private when they get assaulted, and it's just unfortunate that the victim get blamed or the interrogation for a 14-year-old. That's unacceptable, and I'm happy you did become a rape advocate.
Mm-hmm.
um because you encouraged me to do this episode. You didn't even know it when you submitted to be my guest, and I read your story. I was like, okay, when I'm ready, when I'm ready, I am going to do this episode. When I'm ready, I'm going to tackle rape. Me being a survivor is an important topic. The
Yeah.
next guest who's going to tell their survivor story, and you guys, we all going to have questions. If you don't have questions, we're going to get to them. My next guest is Yasi. And Yasi, I want you to tell your survivor story as well. And throughout this episode, you guys, I will put the rape hotline up, the suicide hotline, and things like that. So if you're having a moment or you're being triggered, because like I said, this is a very heavy episode, I am going to be in the back making sure that you guys are getting that support that you do need for this episode. So Yasi, you can go ahead and tell your story.
For having me. We chat on the side every now and again. And Nicole, my heart to you, sweetheart. That was, I will be honest, that was very tough to sit through. So, I thank you for being strong enough to go through that. Not to go through that, but as you can see, I'm a little choked up. But unfortunately, I am one of those women who attract these type of situations on a regular basis. The first encounter was when I was 7 or 8 with a family member. And throughout the years until I was about 23, 24, something would happen. Uh, every 2 to 4 years, something would happen. At a point, I thought I was cursed and it was me. But my most traumatic, I would say, would be I was in around 5th grade and I was sleeping, minding my own business, and I felt a licking sensation on my backside. We don't have a dog, we don't have any animals, it's only a family member that sleeps in that same room, another male family member. And so about 10 minutes passed and this licking sensation proceeded. There was a thud outside in the living room, and it stopped. I waited about 5 minutes or so. I looked over and I saw the male family member rocking. He was facing the wall. I couldn't see his face, but he was just rocking. I thought, whatever, at that moment. I was young. And I buried myself under my covers and I tucked myself in tight and wrapped the cover around my feet. So you would kind of have to fight to get in. Uh, what felt like 5 to 10 minutes passed, and someone tried to get in and they succeeded. The licking sensation continued and moved on to other areas. Um, I felt I was stuck. I couldn't move. I felt I couldn't breathe. I just felt tears falling down my eyes. I felt paralyzed in a sense. When he finally got on top and I opened my eyes and saw who it was, I was extremely distraught. I was heartbroken. and completely checked out. A couple days later, I'm in school, I'm in my art class, and I'm drawing uh, circles, just very dark circles. My teacher notices and comes to me and asks, "What's wrong?" I ask her, "May I step out the room?" "No, you may not." This turned into a very, very intense shouting debate. And I blurted out, "F it, I'll just take this pencil and jab it through my heart. I won't have to feel the pain anymore." At that moment, the room got completely silent. The teacher stared at me. I stared at her, tears falling down my eyes, red in the face. You see, I'm very light, so it's not hard to notice. Puffed up eyes. She takes me to the dean's office, and I stayed there for the rest of the day until about the seventh period. This is down in the South, so we have a lot of classes. This She comes to me, the dean and the art teacher comes to me and asks, "Is everything all right at home?" I burst into tears. The art teacher leaves. The counselor comes. I sit with the counselor alone. The dean calls my mother. My mother is at work. She's in the medical field. Getting off is not as easy, so she wasn't able to come until much later. I tell my story. When my mother finally arrives, the sheriff or the police officer that we have in all our schools, there's always at least one, comes and tells my mother that I need to be taken to the insane asylum. So they cuff me, put me in a car, take me to the insane asylum. I'm sitting in this room waiting to be spoken to. I finally am spoken to. I tell my story, and then they start poking around into other areas of my life that does not pertain to what happened. After several hours, they go to my mother and they tell her I need to be checked in because they feel I'm hallucinating and I'm seeing things. My mother's in tears. She's going beyond berserk and says, "Well, I cannot accept this, whatever may have you." Several more hours pass, and they concluded that they didn't have enough beds for me anyway. So I proceeded to go home. I'm home with my mother. I explained to her what happens, and let's just say the response was not what I would have wanted or what I was anticipating. And so this very day, I cannot bring up any of the encounters that have happened with any of the men that have been in my life to my mother without it turning into an argument of disbelief, denial, as I've choked up to learn that it is. She's still in denial for the years. Uh, I will say that it has all these experiences that I've endured has really sculpted me to be an extremely strong woman. Every time I encounter, because I teach children, I'm a dance teacher, and whenever I come across any young lady that shows any signs or comes even close, I am on it like a hawk. I try my hardest to use the arts and entertainment to tell my story in a more creative way and to show that bad things happen to good people, but we can still prevail and we can still be strong. We can still move on and we can tell our story and make sure it doesn't happen to our next one. And to know you're not alone. It's okay if your family or your closest friends don't want to hear you or can't handle it. A lot of people aren't able to process something like this. That's why we as survivors have each other to help process these things together.
I want to say that is unfortunate. As a mom myself, if my child ever come to me, tell me something, I'm going to believe it. I'm going to be like, okay, so you're telling me that this family member tried or did something. Okay, well, let me address this family member. You don't have to see this family member anymore because I'm pretty sure it's triggering. But unfortunately, I parents back then they probably didn't understand that they was creating toxic environments. They was creating triggering environments.
Indeed.
They grew up in an era of like was that the hippies era, so they was more carefree
Peace and
versus
love.
right. So when I hear women say that their mom didn't respond that the way they wanted to, we have to look at how they was raised. And we don't even know what they went through in their childhood and what was acceptable in their household. And being I know you're Afro or Latino, being black and Latino, what happens in this house, stay in this house mentality, and that mentality destroys young
Very
people.
intoxicating. Very
It
intoxicating.
destroys young people every day.
And
Like
it is a cycle. It is a
it's a
never ending
cycle,
cycle.
right? When you get older, you're like, I don't really want to talk about
Hmm.
my
You think back on it like, wow.
is because I'm in therapy.
Yep.
I'm in therapy.
Hmm.
I couldn't, I wasn't as open as I should be. My communication skills sucked, but because of therapy and me addressing my traumas, that's the reason why today I feel like I'm stronger and everything that we all go through just make us stronger. And it's sad that she was a little girl, but a lot of people don't realize it's most of the time it's a family member that rape these women, and it's very sickening.
Unfortunate,
It's
but
unfortunate, and
it
most of the
happens.
time they get groomed. The pedophile normally. I said I was not gonna talk about this. The pedophile normally grooms their victim.
And indeed, now know now being, I'm 29 now, being as adult as I am, and looking back, I can say that I was groomed by him, and I can say now, knowing my mother's history, I know I'm pretty sure she felt, oh no, not again.
Mhm.
I'm
That's
pretty
why I
sure.
said.
So
That's why I said that we don't know what our
hmm,
parents went through.
exactly, I
What
agree.
people fail to realize is our parents was people before they was our parents.
Yup.
So
Yes, ma'am.
what did that person go through before they had that child? But that's something that like for me, my mom don't talk about her past life or anything, and I wonder like, what did she go through as a child.
Hmm.
But a lot of the older women are like that. They don't talk about what they went through. They just you just see a strong black mom or a strong
Yep.
mom who's being there and you trying to hold everything together. And
Exactly.
they probably never had the community to say it's okay to get therapy.
It's
It's
okay to have that
okay
vulnerable
to
moment.
walk
Yes,
to
ma'am.
this, and you're not crazy. See, people look at therapy as it's for crazy people. Let me tell you I'm gonna tell you one thing, therapy is for everybody. It we all go through things,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
paying a therapist is the best thing I ever did. All right. So, you
Yep.
guys, today we're talking about rape. We're all telling our survivor stories. We don't call each other victims. We call each other survivors. If you're new to my podcast or my channel, just be open minded to what we're talking about. Be respectful to my survivors. And I see that a guy come in and say, "I'm a rape survivor." Jessica, I would love to hear if your husband is open. I would love to hear your husband's story because I have never had a guy come out so openly. So I thought that would be really dope if he don't mind coming on talking with you. My next guest, you guys, is Jessica. She does have autism, so if for any reason I feel like it's becoming too much, I will step in to assist her and help her with. I can't help tell her story, but I will just come in to help her. So my next guest is Jessica.
I want to thank you for having me on your live and giving me the opportunity to tell my story. It's never been easy for me to tell my story, but I feel it does make me stronger when I do tell my story. Being autistic, I feel like it played a major part in all of my attacks because I don't understand social cues and body language. So a part of me does blame myself, even though deep down I know it's not my fault. It's nobody's fault, but the person who did the crime. But I feel like there's signs. I feel like I should have seen it and I just didn't. And I've always believed that there's always good in people, and I just always ended up getting hurt. I've been raped a total of 10 times. And I feel like it's a common occurrence growing up. And it got to the point where like, oh, it's happening again. Okay. I guess it is what it is. I felt like a target. And I hate trying to, I hate blaming myself. But it gets so hard. The most traumatic one, though, I would really like to talk about, because this is the one that I can't even forgive myself for yet, and I hope to someday forgive myself. I went to a friend's house to do a project. I was 13 years old, and it was already getting late. My grandmother already called me several times figuring out what time I'm going to go back home, and it was around 9:30. I walked home, but a guy pulled up in a red Jeep and asked if I needed a ride. And I really thought that there was still good people in this world. I hopped in the car and he didn't take me home. He stopped at his apartment, said he needed to get something from the house, but then asked if I wanted to come in for something to drink or a snack before he takes me home. And that's the first red flag that I should have seen and I didn't. I said, okay. So I went in and he gave me a glass to drink. And next thing you know, he's tearing my school uniform off, and he proceeds to rape me. And the only thing I remember, I felt like I was floating away because I do have sensory problems, sensory processing issues. I felt like I was watching myself from above. I'm watching everything happen. It's almost as if I'm not the one going through it. I'm just watching. I think that was a way to protect myself, trying to remove myself mentally from the situation. After it was over, he got on the phone. He was ranting about something. I guess it was his roommate. He was telling the roommate what had happened, and I heard the roommate on speaker say, "You need to get rid of her." And then I see him go get a knife. I try to run for the door. And as soon as I get to that, I get out the first door, but then there's a second door to go outside. Once I get to that door is when he cuts me right over here on my chest. And during the struggle, I finally somehow managed to unlock that other door and I run out. And the ambulance squad was right up the street and I ran in that direction. But when I got to the corner, I just couldn't run anymore. I was bleeding all over the place. I just threw myself on the floor because I just couldn't run. I couldn't walk. And I really thought that I was going to die right there. And there was these two men that was walking and they stopped. And I wish I could thank these men because one of them took his shirt off, applied pressure on my chest to stop the bleeding, and the other one ran the rest of the way to the ambulance squad to go get help. And if it wasn't for those two men, I think I would have died right there. Now, this guy did get arrested, but I don't feel like he did enough time. He was only locked up for 4 years. and then managed to get out. And I don't think that's enough justice. I feel like he should have done more time. And the it was really hard having to express to them what happened, and then they make it seem like I'm crazy. Like they've because cops and the ambulances were called before to my house, and it was always for like suicide or self-harm. So these cops and everybody already knew me. So they made it seem like I was having a mental breakdown. So I eventually had to get admitted after this whole thing was over, because I ended up being suicidal. But they kept asking me other questions, and I was like, I don't know why you guys are asking me this. The evidence is all right there. I don't know why you keep asking me the same questions. Eventually, everything was over, but it really put a strain in my school life, because just when I thought I was getting on my feet in school, this happens, and then it just made my grades go down the toilet. I can't forget that. That's one of the main things I'll never be able to forget. I was so close to dying, and I usually tell everybody I hate men, but the two men that stopped to save my life, I really wish I could thank them.
Um, Powerful story. Um, Y'all see, I'm trying to hold it together. Okay. I would say don't blame yourself, but I can't tell you that because I still kind of blame myself, and it's crazy because my story is similar to yours. But but look at it this way: you survived it, and I hope that you're taking time to get therapy. And yeah, I'm trying to find words. Like I was over here crying in the back. So I just really don't have any words for that. I can understand what a cops probably would thought you was crazy because your autism, but if it was proof, why would they even try it? I don't understand why cops fit they victimize the victim. That is what cops do. They victimize the victim. They don't try to come in and be sympathetic and try to listen to the story. They think most women or men are lying, and it's very unfortunate. And I'm so sorry that you was raped that many times in your life. Um, that's a large number. I I literally don't have anything to say. Anybody have any comments? You guys can comment. But look at it this way, Jessica. You are strong. You went live twice. You did two of your fears. You're becoming stronger and stronger. You voiced your story. You told your story. I think you told your story very well. I think that you are in your own way becoming an advocate for autistic people like yourself, because you're pretty much saying I have autism, but I have a voice and this is my story. And yes, I was targeted because I have autism, but it is okay. So I want to commend you for that.
Thank
That's the
you.
first thing I want to commend you for. Um, yeah, you guys, I know this has been very emotional. We're about to go on a 45-second commercial break. It is just 45 seconds for we all can get our life back together. Give me 1 second, you guys. I know I'm gonna have this ready, but today, whew, I'll be right back. Thank you guys for watching the Bedroom Talk Show. We want you to breathe. Breathe in, breathe out, and let go of anything you're experiencing. Today's topic is extremely hard to discuss, but we want to take time to meditate and breathe and release. Release anything you need into the universe. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. And thank you for watching the Bedroom Talk Show. All right, you guys, that was my little meditating commercial because I felt like I needed that. And I'm pretty sure people who are watching needed that too. So, this is my first time ever talking about my story public. So, before I do mine, I'm going to add all my guests back to the stage. So, it's my first time ever telling my story besides to my therapist and my friends, of course. So, at the time, it was happening 11 years ago. And I went to a job fair at North Point Mall. It was at a sunglasses place. And this guy, he seemed very nice. Just like Jessica, I thought nice people were still alive. Um, and pretty much he said, you would need a ride to the train station. I said, sure. So he was gonna take me to the train station, but we didn't go to North Point train station. And you guys, I still blame myself for this. So we end up in Stone Mountain at his apartment. And I'm like, this isn't, mind you, I'm 20. I'm like, this isn't your apartment. I mean, this isn't the train station. And he was like, oh, I need to go home right quick. I need to do something. Okay. So I went in stupidly. And he said, yeah, you was talking all that shit or whatever. And I can't remember the conversation because this was 11 years ago. And this is where I have issues. So I end up, he had red lights. I'll never forget. That's probably why I would never want red lights in my apartment. He had red lights. And I was just like, oh, these are nice. He said, yeah, the red lights are for my sets nights or something like that. It was something crazy. And I said, oh, okay. Are you still taking me to the train station? And he said, yeah. So we end up in his room. I don't know how. And end up in the bed. He said, you was talking all that shit. And in that moment, I didn't want to do it. I never said no. I was like, whatever. And I didn't want to do it. And then I started to blame myself. And I said, I should never gotten a stranger car, stranger danger, all this stuff. Then my friend said, Christy, you know that's still rape. I said, how is that still rape? I never said no. I just gave it to him. I'm the type of girl, you ain't gonna rape me. I would just give it to you. And she said, Crystal, that's still rape. I was like, yeah. And I never really talked about it to nobody. Yeah. But that's my story in the quickness. I don't go through all the details, unfortunately, because this is my first time really talking about it, besides with my therapist and my friends. So, yeah. I did not. I knew I was gonna be emotional to do this episode. I just knew it. I knew it, y'all. We
Crying
can't.
like a baby. It's okay.
Uh, I've
Because
been trying to.
it's okay. It was hard. It was hard listening to these stories. I was crying my eyes out. I'm still fighting them. You are some of the most strongest, powerful women I have ever encountered. I am so honored and blessed to be on this panel with you all.
Thank you,
So
ladies.
serious. Like my God.
Absolutely. I want to just thank you for having the courage to come forth. You don't realize how many women need to hear these stories. And just like you said, Crystal, how Jessica's story was so similar to yours, that's what made me tell my story. And I found that telling my story, the more I told my story, it's therapeutic for me. You know what I mean? It was a kind of healing because if you keep it stuck inside, it just stays there and it festers and it turns into other stuff.
Right.
Tell the story more, you develop a connection with other women because like you said in the
Mm-hmm.
beginning, it's more common than
Mm-hmm.
anybody um, thinks. I just, I just buried a very close family member of mine who was a man, and he was raped in the military. And I'm so glad that you're putting out this rape hotline and a suicide hotline because he felt ashamed and he never told his story. And that's what we deal with for men. I guess men, there's a stigma where men feel that, oh, I should have been strong enough to do something about it. Or, I can't say that because it's not manly to share my story.
Right.
Hmm.
None of us knew about what happened to him. And if we would have known what happened, we would have been able to give him that support. So I understand where he's coming from, but I thank you, Gary, for being willing to tell your story because
Oh yeah,
rape is just as common amongst men as it is women.
it
And
sure
that's
is.
true. But
It
it's
sure
unfortunate they don't talk about it. They don't voice about it.
Yeah,
is.
And that is the common thing. It's a stigma on it. And
Yeah.
yeah,
I've been putting the hotlines up here because it's important. And I've been promoting therapy for black girls because anybody looking for a therapist, they can go to therapy for black girls. Because I'm not a true advocate for therapy, but I would tell somebody, you need to get therapy, girl. Like it's important.
Hmm.
absolutely. I think, like you said earlier, I think everyone could use a good therapist. All
Everyone.
people need it
Absolutely.
because we all experience some kind of trauma in our lives.
Yeah.
And you will be surprised how trauma, like I didn't know that my mom was raped at the same age as I was raped. And my mom never shared her story with me. And I have sisters who were all raped, and they never shared their stories. So I think it's very important that we do share our stories, and that is a part of breaking these generational curses,
But
right?
also sharing your
Absolutely.
story is healing. When
It is.
you put that's the reason why I did this episode and I was able to get through it without normally my nose would bleed, normally my head will hurt, normally it's a mess. So that's why I really prayed on this and I said I could tell my story because I need to start my healing process. That was 11 years ago. You think he's thinking about me? No,
Mhm,
he not thinking about me. He don't know what trauma he created for me to feel like I think most men ain't shit to this day. And I have to address my trauma within myself.
yeah, yeah, that's
So
good.
you guys, I have some great questions for us. Like I said, okay, I'm trying to like just cheer up a little bit. Um, do you think I'm sorry. Did you go a period of denial or blame? I'm gonna answer first. Um, not denial. Well, both actually. My friend had to tell me that was rape, and I had to research it, and I was like, "Oh, that is." Blame. I still blame myself to this day. So I'm still going through that period of blame. Blaming myself for thinking people are so loving and caring as I am, not realizing that it's a lot of evil people in the world who just want to take, steal, and hurt people. Um, that's why I still go through the blaming process, even though my therapist says it's not my fault. I understand. I fully comprehend it's not my fault, but I still go through the blame process. But ladies, you can go ahead and take it now.
I definitely go through blame till this day, even though my therapist also says it's not your fault. It's not your fault. Everybody tells me it's not my fault,
Mm-hmm.
but it's. I feel like it's easy to tell somebody it's not their fault,
Mhm,
but when you're the person that feels like it's your fault, it's just how do you unfeel that? I need
right.
help. How do you unfeel it? Because I have all these thoughts in my head. I can't, I just don't understand why I couldn't see the signs. I feel like had I seen the signs, maybe things would have been different.
Mhm,
Or even if I was neurotypical, if things would have been different because disabled people are targeted.
mhm.
Jessica, can I stop you right there?
Yes.
You're on a panel with three neurotypical women that have all been raped. It has nothing to do against you having autism. I had to stop you because you know how I am about autism. Anybody who knows me knows how I am. Unfortunately, you are right. special needs people are targeted more than a neurotypical person. But neurotypical people, anybody who watching this don't know what neurotypical means. I'm sorry. Neurotypical means society standard or normal. I don't use the word normal. Jessica don't use the word normal either. And me being the true advocate that I am, you will never hear me say I'm a normal person. You will always hear me refer to myself as a neurotypical person. But back to what I was saying, you Jessica. I know people who listen to this. They're like, "What is that?" They should know by now, but they probably don't. You have three strong neurotypical women that have been raped.
Mhm, mhm.
Yes, special
Absolutely.
needs is targeted. Yes. Yes. You're absolutely right. But I don't want you to think if you was neurotypical, you know what neurotypical means, that would never happen.
It's
No.
just that a part of
See, it
me feels
happened
like I may
to
have
shape
put
you.
myself in the situation unknowingly because of
See,
my lack of social cues.
No, no, no.
Not at
mm,
all,
You
babe.
you should never think that. And I have to tell you, Jessica, sometimes, even still to this day, when I tell my story, if you notice, I said, I'm not supposed to be talking to strangers. That is a form of blame. And even when I was interrogated by the police, they asked me questions as if well, why did you walk that way? It's that the other way was shorter. What made you go that way? And, they were asking me questions and I had to think like, oh my God, why did I go that way? So it has absolutely nothing to do with your handicap. And I don't like to say handicap, with you being autistic. Absolutely nothing to do with that.
At all.
Absolutely nothing to
At
do with
all.
that. And I can't even say it's because you're a woman, because I know men who have been raped. I know a lot of men. I have family members who have been raped. So it's absolutely not your fault, but it's absolutely normal to go back and think I could have done something different. But
mhm,
it's also absolutely, I mean, you can't go back and change the past, but what you can do today, what you can do is keep telling your story. Tell your story as often as you can, because there are so many women who don't have the courage that you have to tell
mhm.
your story, that will need to hear your story because they are on the verge of committing suicide or hurting themselves. So you don't realize how many lives that you can save by telling your stories. And I'm so glad that you have the courage to do so. And I applaud all of you ladies for doing so. This really makes me smile because I just wrote a book, and I think that I'm so excited to get my book to reach more people, to tell the story about how important it is. As I told you before, I just buried a close family member who went through it in silence, didn't say anything, and that ate him up, and he, you know, decided to end it.
Nicole, is your book available now?
I just finished the book. I just finished the book, and it will be available this month, later this month. Yeah.
Okay, well, my listeners who are listening to the podcast side, please check out Nicole. Her website is TALC with Nicole.com. So make sure you guys check out that book if you
Thank
need to
you.
read it. I'm all about books. I don't know if you guys can see my books over here. So I'm
Ma'am.
all about books, but get something that's good
Always
for
here
your
for a good
soul.
read.
Girl, it's
Thank
something for a good
you.
read.
Thank
Get
you. Thank
get a
you.
book that's good for your soul. Feed that soul.
Exactly.
Uh
Exactly.
Yasi, I want you to answer that question because one of our guests, I mean not our guests, one of our roommates asked a question, but before we get to his question, I want to make sure you two ladies get to that question about the blame or denial before I get to his question, because I feel like that's a question that need to be touched because all victims go through denial and blame.
Mhm, mhm,
Mhm. I will say that I went through denial. Um, Still to this day, some of the encounters, to be frank, a good 85% of my encounters have been family members.
Oh, wow.
So with that, I at one point, I thought I had a moment of blame. Like, and pardon to be too vulgar, but am I the family's hoe? Am I who they pass around? Like, am I the test dummy?
You're not vulgar. Not at
Just
all.
wasn't
Cause
sure. Because I just be sure I wasn't just in case.
no,
But
no.
I was a little perturbed. Like, am I the who they test on before they get out in the real world? And why? Because it is literally nothing but family. So during that gap until New York, but then I sat and thought, no way. There's no way. No. It's gotta be God testing me. It's gotta be. It's gotta be God. Like, there's gotta be some way where I am serving some sort of purpose for them. Like, there's no way that they're just doing this because they just feel like doing this. There's it didn't happen. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. It didn't hit until I was about 26 that I started accepting that it all happened. And I still have my moments of denial, depending on the person I'm thinking about, but more denial than blame, I would say.
Can I ask you a question?
Please.
Do you still see these family members at events?
Well, my family isn't quite close. We're very clicked up. So I
I didn't. I
one
think, but for me, the audio went out. I didn't hear the answer. I'm sorry. I'm not
No,
trying
you're
to.
fine. You're fine. My
Okay.
family's very clicked up, so there's no real like family reunions or anything like that. So I won't have those moments. One of them has passed away several years ago. One of them is still here. We actually still communicate. The other one I have disowned and finally blocked off all social media, so we don't really interact. There's only about two of them that I do still communicate with, and one of them I cannot blame because of the relationship that we have. Um, I'd like to have that conversation separately in regards to that, but there are a
I just
few
wanted
that
to
I
ask that
can.
question because
No, it's okay.
I'm
It's
pretty
fine.
sure
It's
people
fine.
are listening, like they're wondering, like,
Yes.
is she
And
like, did she block them all? Like, just
majority
wondering.
of them, yes, I do not encounter wigs. Some have died. The others that were strangers, it's New York. I'm never gonna see them again. But unfortunately, there are two that I still engage with in a sense.
Wow.
Okay.
It's a battle.
Um,
It's a battle. But God's on my side.
I get it. Y'all see, you have my number. I get it. Yeah. Nicole, did you go? Did you go through a period of denial and blame? Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I did. Like I said, when the police were interrogating me, when you're especially a young teenager, you're impressionable. And you're like, oh God, I never realized, there was a shorter way to walk. That's the way I always walk to school. You know what I mean? And why were you talking to a stranger? You're right. I shouldn't have been talking to a stranger. And I think that was the blame that I was going through. And I still have issue with that, and I'm just now noticing, like today, that I still have issue with that. But I guess my denial was, I was asked, do you want to see at that time, 13 years old, do you want to see a counselor? Do you need? And I was like, no, I'm fine. My mom saw a therapist about it. But what I did not realize is that because I did not go to therapy, I had issue with men that I did not realize that I had, you know what I mean? And I had a lot of issues that I had just pushed down that I didn't realize was because of my rape. So when I did finally go to counseling in my, I won't say how old I am, in my 30s,
Are you fine?
I I said, oh, wow. I went to counseling I'm divorced. I wanted to get some help on whether or not I should get divorced, but it turned into therapy for this other stuff that I didn't come for. You know what I mean? So
How it goes. That's
so
how it goes.
I didn't realize that a lot of my anger towards men, a lot of my triggers towards people. Like I have a very short fuse when it comes to patience, was because I never sought help for what happened to me.
You know what? That's crazy. I just started getting therapy at 31. And it's the best decision I ever made. That's all I want to say.
Never
Yes.
too late.
Let me
Never.
tell you, my therapist, and I'm not trying to, she can't take no more clients for y'all ass. She's so dope. She's so dope. Everybody know who my therapist is because she's been on my podcast. She's so dope, y'all. After this live, I have another session tonight because this was a lot for me. And therapy is, it's funny. I have issues with men too. The way I choose men, that's a whole nother episode. The way I choose men is straight trash. Okay. Like,
Oh,
and the ones that was good to me, honey, I thought they was lame, not realizing I have issues that I
oh
need to address.
Mhm.
Yep. And when I started getting therapy and I started talking, I learned some things about myself. This is not about rape. I learned I have abandonment issues.
mm.
That is my biggest thing that I do have is the abandonment piece. And
Mhm.
I had to address that. And I realized that I was broken and I have been attracting broken men to me in my relationships. These men, they attract to me because I'm not whole. I'm not loving myself. Yeah, that's a whole other episode, y'all. But
Yes,
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
yes. I discussed that in my book as well.
I told you I'm buying. I already told you I'm buying it. So, you guys, so this part is rape is sex that you do not agree to. Rape is also, you guys, an act of violence, power, or aggression. And the reason I put it up there is mainly for me because in my situation, I never said no, but
Relinquishing power.
he had the power, right? And he knew in his mind he was not taking me to the train. He's still gonna take me to the train station, y'all, but not right away.
Mm.
Yep, that I wanted to put that piece up there for anybody watching and listening. My next question is, what was it like accepting your sexual assault? I'm gonna go first. Um, it took me a minute. Like I was like, "Oh, girl, I wasn't raped. I just gave him what he wanted," and she was like, "That's rape." I'm like, "No." Shout out to my best friend Tara. She said, "No, Crystal, that's rape." I said, "No, it ain't." She said, "Crystal, I need you to accept this." No, I'm not. And it took me years. Like I said, it's 11 years later, and I'm finally talking about it.
First step.
First step,
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That's the most important step.
Oh
Talk.
yeah.
accepting.
Yes,
Oh yeah.
exactly. Hmm. Hmm.
Anybody else want to go and answer that question? If you don't want to answer that question, that is fine. Um, you know, y'all know I'm trying to respect you guys, especially Jessica.
I don't mind going next.
Oh,
So for me, it was hard, but I feel like I over accepted it because being autistic, I struggle with regulating my emotions and I have sensory issues. So when I feel an emotion, it's usually intensified. So, like, if I'm scared, I'm actually petrified. If I'm sad, I'm actually depressed. So I overly accepted the fact, and it seemed like I was over exaggerating about it. And that's
I don't
just how
think he's
bad
over
I truly
exaggerating.
felt.
Hmm. Hmm.
Jessica, you gonna hate me. I feel like I'm Nicole right now. I'm gonna. I want you to stop. And I love you. You already know this. You all call me your near typical friend. I want you to stop saying it was dealing with your autism. I want you to stop saying I over I oh, I over what you just say? You said it. You over accepted.
Over accepted.
Mhm.
No, you did not over accept it. You accepted it, and you starting your healing process because now you accepted it. You have to heal. You have to start healing past your trauma. That's a trauma, and you have several traumas that we discussed today. And now is your time to heal past each trauma. It ain't gonna happen overnight. Let me say that it's not gonna happen overnight. This is baby steps. But you in therapy. Number one is you healing past that trauma. You're healing past it. Like
Absolutely.
that's all I want to say. I know that's
I
this.
feel
This
like
is Nicole's job, but
every time I feel like I'm almost getting one step ahead with the healing, I always feel like I'm being pushed backwards.
maybe that's sometimes God testing you because everything that everybody in this earth go through is meant to make them stronger.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
That's supposed to be your testimony. If you don't believe, if whoever don't believe in God, I'm sorry. That's supposed to be your testimony. That's your testimony.
It is.
For you can help somebody else who's on the spectrum, who's you 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 know I know like you can help somebody else who on the spectrum who don't have a
Yes.
voice, who's non-vocal, non-verbal, who cannot talk because they
Mhm.
physically cannot talk. You
Yeah.
right now today in
Yeah.
this moment, you are part of a community that I'm not a part of. I just advocate for people like you, but you are
Yeah.
being a voice for people on the spectrum. So I want you to stop, think about that, come back and be like, you're being a voice. Y'all see, I meet so many people on the spectrum saying they have nobody to be a voice. You can be their voice. Be that voice.
That's
Okay?
you. That's you. Jessica, that's you. You're the voice.
Be that voice.
You are.
Accept it, embrace it.
Yes.
And you know
Can
what?
you
No one
imagine
will
how
take
many
that from
women
me anymore.
right, imagine how many women and men you can help. Now, when you say you have autism and you feel like that's rape, cool. Stop there and and go from there. And because you're still helping people on the spectrum, I don't never want you to say not you not on the spectrum because you are. And I know for a fact people on the spectrum they're targeted. Like that's proven.
Mhm.
But I want you to stop blaming that you have because I have autism. This is why I was assaulted. I want you I want you to accept it in your time because I'm not trying to be what's the word I use for us neurotypical people. I can't even think of the word right now, but you know the word I'm talking about. But I want you to accept it. But I'm
Mhm.
not trying to be that word that you know I'm talking about. Begin with an A. I can't think of the name right now. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not just you. I mean, predators go after vulnerable people. So if you have heard from us, all of us, we were all in very vulnerable situations, right? So when that man pulled up in that car, did he know that you were autistic?
No. Think about that. Yes. Yes, Nicole. Nicole,
He
speak, sis.
did not
Right.
know that you were autistic. So what does that tell you? He
Ooh,
just knew that you were alone, young, and vulnerable,
oh,
right?
Nicole, preach.
So it's not because you were autistic, it's because you were young and vulnerable.
Ooh, I love how Nicole just got that for you and said that to you. Just want you to listen. I'm just, I love you, Jessica.
I
So,
know.
but I just had to stop you because I don't never want you to blame your superpower. Cause I don't say disability.
I
Your
love that.
I
superpower.
say it
Thank
too.
you.
Yeah.
Yes.
I say the same thing.
I
Thank
love
you, ladies. I don't want you to blame your superpower on why somebody took advantage of you.
mm-mm.
Mm-mm. My son's superpowers, I'm making sure nobody take advantage of his superpowers.
I've always been made to believe that I always overthink things. This is like stuff that's been like put in my head by family and
that's because your
fake
family was trying to make you
friends.
neurotypical.
Mhm, mhm.
We
They
Mhm.
had
don't
to,
understand your they don't understand your power. Like my brother's autistic. I get, and he doesn't have the speech capability that you do at all,
right,
baby girl, at all. So my family can't quite understand how it goes in his neurologic, but
right.
the fact that you're able to vocalize and get it off in the way it is, like, baby, keep it going. You're gonna have, and I'm gonna say this in layman's terms, you're gonna have haters. You're gonna have haters, baby. And your biggest haters are the ones that got the same blood running in them veins. I'm telling
Yes.
you right now,
Right.
you
Yep,
keep doing what you doing, and you're doing it well, baby.
you
Awesome.
are.
It's
You're doing a
awesome.
good job. Your
Mm,
TikToks, like
mm.
I know what some of your issues growing up was your family trying to make you neurotypical, but don't look at that as a reason why you got raped. Like, no. Mm-mm. Good girl, y'all see. Yes, y'all see.
Mm. Nope.
It's all love, mama.
All right, I'm gonna get to this question. Okay, it was for me, you guys, but I didn't say no or try to fight. So was I raped? The answer is
Absolutely.
yes. The answer to that question is yes. Unfortunately, you don't have to say no. Like you have a lot of women. I wouldn't put it up here. I was actually reading it. Most victims are raped by someone they already know, a friend, a partner, coworker, boyfriend, or even a spouse. I have a friend who's raped by her husband. I hope she don't. I really hope she don't get mad at me for saying. I ain't say her name. Anyway, yeah. Is it still rape if you're underage of the consent or being forced or threatened? If you're being drugged, roofed, unconscious, drunk, asleep, if you're fearful of physically harm, yes, that is rape. It's so funny. If you go to the club, if you go to the club and you leave the club and you drunk, and
I'm
they try to
sorry,
have sex with
y'all.
you, are you fine? You fine. If you leave the club and you would go home somebody and you drunk, yes, guys, that's rape. Was
Yes.
she sober enough to consent? Okay, so
Absolutely.
these are some of the things you guys I have found. I hope I'm not going too fast because I know some people are really listening. Because I do have people who listen. Sexual assault or sexual violence is a unwanted, force or threatened sexual act or behavior. Assault can take many forms: physical, verbal, and visual, and root or power and control. So
Yes.
I took time to research sexual assault, you guys, anybody watching or listening, because I thought it was very, very important. Besides our stories,
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
educate my
Absolutely.
viewers, my roommates on what rape is and what does it look like. Because a
Mhm.
lot of women don't say no, but that is still rape. I'm
Yes.
telling you as a survivor, that's a rape. And
Mhm.
you guys, it don't matter. I know you can read it, you guys. It don't matter if you're black, you're white, you have autism. It doesn't matter your age. You can still be raped or assaulted.
Yep.
You can still be raped or assaulted. It doesn't
Mhm.
it doesn't matter. But this is one thing I want everybody to remember. Nobody is entitled to your body. It's your body. So that's number one. And then there's such thing as date rape, groping, molesting, intersex, all that nasty stuff. I don't understand why anybody want to have sex with a family member, but that was a topic I was not getting into because I think that's so yeah. Anyway, 1 in 5 women and 1 in 14 men experience sexual violence during their lifetime. I got it from the CDC 2015. Anybody want to know my facts? Yeah, I know I'm big on facts. I hope I didn't just. I'm almost done. You guys interview my guests. If you have any questions, I guess you guys just watching and listening. We're about to discuss self care after trauma. And I know you guys are so used to me being done with my episodes within an hour. Today was a very important topic, so I couldn't do it within an hour. I kind of figured it was not going to be an hour episode. So please bear with us. And if you're still watching from the beginning, you are a true roommate, and you should just move into my bedroom for season 4 because season 4 about to be lit. That's all I want to say out. Question is, I'm so excited for season 4, y'all. Y'all don't know. Anyway, how was you sleeping? Okay, how were you sleeping? And did you sleep? Did you have a sleep pattern or a nap pattern that made you feel more rested? My answer to this question is I brushed it off. I was in the now. I slept regular. That's my answer.
I slept regular.
I did.
Oh, so,
You
um,
And
mean after it happened? How did
after
you
it
sleep?
happened, this,
Oh.
this this is self care after the trauma. Hmm.
um, well, I will say that I wasn't sleeping very much, so I used that time for creativity. So
Mm.
I would write, I would sing, I would dance, I would draw, whatever at that moment I was feeling, I did. I moved on to having, and don't judge me, having some sort of nightlight. I didn't want to be in the dark. So it was
Girl,
a
who judging you?
you.
Nobody.
I
You
didn't
know what I
mean to
hate about
violate
people?
judging, but yes, I
People
had a
people are
nightlight for a
so
while.
quick to judge people
That's
instead
true.
of help people. I never get that. Like I'm judging you,
Exactly.
but I can't send you not one resource. Girl,
Mhm.
girl, I don't.
You need
One
some.
thing I have learned with myself since I turned 30, I don't care what nobody got to say about me. I'm living my life for me, not you, not my mom, not my son. I'm living it for me, and whatever
Mhm.
is in my path that is important to me at that time, I'm going to advocate for that. But anyway,
Utilize it.
Yes.
Hmm.
girl,
No,
Yes.
I felt that.
Mhm.
I
I
will
girl,
I will accept that with 2 spoons of sugar. Gotcha.
girl,
I like that.
um,
girl.
yeah, nightlight, and then I discovered spiritual practices. So shiny rocks, incense, and
I love
candles.
crystals and I love
Yeah,
Yes,
candles.
yeah.
I
I
would
Used to
I
collect
would
crystals.
permanently borrow my mom's candles and permanently borrow little stones my grandmother had and hide it. So that was how I ended up finally
Permanently
getting some
borrow.
sleep.
I cannot with that permanently borrow. Anybody catch that? Permanently borrow.
Yeah.
Jessica and Nicole, it's your turn to answer that question.
I didn't sleep too well after any of the traumatic events. I was having constant nightmares, waking up
Mhm.
in the middle of the night several times a night. So then I just decided, you know what, sleep is not for me. So I would stay up doing whatever I felt like doing. I originally started, my very first hobby was drawing. So that's what I did throughout the night because I couldn't sleep.
Mhm. Mhm.
Well, at least you found your new heart. You see, your trauma brought you to what you do now, which is beautiful artwork. You guys, let me put her website up. I have not been putting my guest websites up. I am so sorry. I just thought about that. Please check out her blog. She's talking about autism, and please go to her Instagram, support her, follow her at Gro Just Glows Designs. You guys, her stuff is good. She will take your loved one ashes and turn it into something beautiful.
You're one of those people. You're that creative.
Yeah, she's
Oh,
one of
I
them creative.
definitely gotta hit you up. I love those things.
So
I
you take
absolutely
the
love it.
ashes and
She
make
take the ashes. Yes.
Yes.
wow,
That
I've
is
never
awesome.
heard of that before.
Breast milk and animal
What?
fur, uh,
That's
people's lock of
cool.
hairs, all that DNA keepsake stuff. I'm into that. I do
Oh,
it
you
all.
do a lot,
She
girl.
Wow.
just made a ring from this
That
lady, and I think her baby had her baby had autism. She died from a cancer, right? And
Yes,
she
from
got her
living
ashes,
with
and she
candles.
turns into a beautiful ring. Yep, yep.
mm,
Check her out, y'all.
Most definitely. Yes.
yes. I was
And you had the audacity to talk about your autism. Honey, the superpower you have. My God.
oh my
Let's
She
goodness.
does it a
go. That
lot.
is
You're making me
awesome.
blush.
Yasi,
Don't
she does
just
it a
touch
lot, and I have
my
to correct her.
spirit.
You know,
Like,
Yasi, I have to correct her. I'll be like, no, baby, take the
you
autism out.
know, honey, superhero over here. Like, that is
I have
cool.
never,
That is cool.
Jessica, seriously, I have never heard of these things ever before. That is so super creative.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know how many people are looking for you right now?
Yes. Yes.
All
Yes.
I gotta say is, come on over here.
That's right.
Yeah, like you have people like when I die, I want to be cremated.
I just need to get
So
my name out there.
you
Yeah.
do.
Most
It's by
definitely.
being a voice, promoting. You we talk
Exactly.
TikToks. Make a TikTok just for that.
Yes.
Nothing else.
And it's
Money.
so easy. It is so easy, honey.
My
I have
TikTok
never
though.
heard that is a creative space right there that I have never heard of in my entire life. Just
See, I just got you 2 new customers right there, and whoever listen,
yeah,
I'm welcome.
absolutely.
Big facts.
I'll just have to. I've been forgetting to plug everybody's stuff in. Like, yeah, forgive me. Um,
It was an emotional thing. It's hard
Yeah.
to keep track of all the stuff that
I
you
do in
know.
the background. Yes, today it was. I knew it was gonna happen. I was like, I'm gonna forget
Yeah.
something. Okay, so my next question is recover. Okay, this whole segment, and we're almost done, is recovering from sexual violence, sexual assault, violence. Same thing. I know I keep using different terms, but they're all the same thing, y'all. That's the
Mhm,
reason I did it.
mhm.
Um, I know Jessica answer. Did you report? I know Nicole answer, but this is for me and Yasi. Did you report your assault? My answer is no.
Only one. The one that happened when I moved back to New York.
Mm.
That one I did. It went nowhere. As I'm going to say, unfortunately, is why we have the Special Victims Unit show from Law and Order. It's very true. Rape kits sit and sit and sit and
You
sit.
know what's
So
crazy? Yasi, you said it first. I love Law and Order SVU. I don't
Mhm.
like Law and Order. I just like Law and Order SVU.
specifically, and I feel
Yeah.
it's that connection that we have with these survivors is why we are so, because I'm
Every week like this,
glued.
I'll be like
So
this. Yes, Olivia. I'll be like,
mhm.
we need a real Olivia Benson in every
the,
state.
the,
We need a real
I,
Olivia.
yup,
And you know
I
what's so crazy?
absolutely.
I can't watch it. I want
Really?
to, but I can't.
really.
I love the show.
Traumatizing for me, especially when they're dealing with children.
Oh, those are the hardest.
Yeah, I
You're
can't.
absolutely correct.
Oh.
Those are absolutely the
It seems
hardest.
like every time I tune in, they're always talking about kids.
They just did one on a
Realistically,
man.
there's a lot more happening with children in these past 10 years than anything else. I mean, when there's always a child, there's always a story.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy? They just did their first episode ever last week on a man getting raped by his wife.
Wow. By his wife.
By his wife. I said, okay, Law and Order. Y'all
Okay.
really trying y'all hitting two stigmas today. It was so
Yeah.
good. I was like this, and I was so proud of them for putting that out there. Yeah, girl, it was really good and
Mm.
I
sad.
need to watch that.
Yeah, girl, the husband got raped by the wife. Girl, watch it. I ain't gonna even spoil it. It's good. He didn't
Mhm.
Wow.
want to come forward, girl. It's good. I promise
No, but
you.
where do we find it though?
It's
I want to wait till it airs.
their most recent episode
Hmm.
because she
You could
brought up
probably,
Law and Order.
All streaming platforms,
yeah,
Netflix, Hulu, they got them, all of them.
you
When
probably
they,
find it on demand.
Girl, I
Hmm.
binge
oh,
watched it while I
ooh,
was pregnant. I'm addicted to Law and Order
they
SVU.
have like 18 seasons, so that
No,
specific
they do
one.
not. They have 20
Look, see,
22 seasons.
exactly. Like I just meant. Meanwhile, I threw a random number out there, but
18 is not the number, sis. I think it's 22 or 23.
they child, I got
And
some
they
seasons to
just been
watch.
renewed for a whole nother season. Like, wait, 18 seasons. You know how many? You know, I ain't. We ain't trying to talk about them. So
Either
this
way,
is
I gotta get on it. For those
yeah, I
that
have
not,
to. I will, Nicole. I hope one day you can watch it.
indeed,
I
Cause
will. I
I
will.
love how Olivia advocate for the victims. That's why I
I
love it.
love Olivia. I love, when I did watch it, um, she was, I absolutely love the show. Like when there's absolutely nothing else on, I say, well, let me see what SVU is talking about. and I will watch it.
I'm telling you, I love SVU, and Yasi may be right. It may be a connection that we have to it. That's why we watch it. So,
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
okay, so this is Nicole. Quote, I mean quote. I said quote. I mean quote. Anyway, empowering you to move from where you are and where you want to be. So I want to just plug her in, you guys. And by watching and listening, she is an accountability coach. So she holds you accountable for your actions while making you find a better version of you. That's what I took from doing research on her. And I wanted to plug her in just in case, because I know I have not been doing this. Her Instagram, everything is located below. If you need to follow her or set up a consultation, please contact her. And Nicole, you have anything you want to say
Thank
about
you.
what you do as a coach? You're welcome.
Yeah, so basically you said it. You said it very well. I am an accountability coach, and basically what I do, I take my life experiences, including rape, but I also highlight life after divorce, infertility, and also accountability because we have to be accountable to ourselves. We can't, like you say, Crystal, we can't be victims all the time, right? A better word for survivor is that we all have a voice and we all have a story. How are you sharing your story? Because I think that we ought to be accountable towards each other. People always say, I am my sister's keeper, or I'm not my sister's keeper. No, I am my sister. And you will figure that out. It's like when we were telling our stories, how Jessica's story was so close to yours, right, Crystal? So we all need to be accountable to one another, especially us beautiful women of color.
Beautiful.
We need to pull each other up. And now is the time to pull each other up and to hold each other accountable for what we do in lives and how we show up in life. So if you
Yes.
are, if you need to, if you feel like you are being stuck in a certain place and you need to move forward, I am here to help you do that.
Yes, Nicole. Y'all get that? Her website is talk, but without the K, it's a C with Nicole. All right, you guys. I want you guys to
Thank you,
get
ma'am.
that.
I appreciate that.
You're welcome. It's Talk with Nicole on Instagram. Take out the K and add the C, and that's the Instagram for you guys. Hope you guys got that. Um, Now Yasi, let's talk about Yasi. Yasi
Mm.
is a model. She has a modeling agency. I think she has a magazine too. She is very creative. She has a lot going on. I was trying to get her to be my celebrity tea girl, but y'all, she's so busy and so booked. So
I dropped
busy.
that ball hard. I ain't gonna hold you.
I ain't mad though.
Uh,
And she's so creative. Um, I want you guys to get to know her and shop with her. Her website is yasi.com. But if you can't spell, like I can't spell sometimes, Yasi is spelled YHICEY.com. And you can go to her website. And then if you want to go shopping, shop. Her Instagram is goddess, which you all know how to spell goddess. But just in case you don't, is GODDES _Yasi YHICEY. So Yasi, tell us what you do for roommates or anybody listening can find you.
well, I create jewelry, cannabis friendly essentials, foods and products, vegan friendly as well. I know vegan's a real big thing. I'm slowly getting there. Um, for basically holistic healing. I have some candle boxes with a bunch of goodies. I have Buddha boxes that has oils and bath ritual salts and crystal stones and incense, and majority of the items that are made by myself or my lovely fiance. Everything is customized to you and what you need. So you message me, I'm going through this, and I feel like this, and this, and that. And we will customize with the crystals that would work for you, the bath salts that would work for you, the right
Okay.
edibles that would work for you, and all that good stuff. Then you get cute t shirts and all of that awesome.
Oh,
I will
Yasi,
be
let's come with an
doing.
idea for you.
What you mean?
You should
I
do
need you
a
in my life,
monthly.
Yasi.
She did, but Yasi, you should do a monthly subscription box.
You know, I have the boxes. I just need the subscribers. Like I have the perfect box. I even have a box specifically for men. So it's got it's got a flask, some shots, some
Wow.
little sexual protection tools. There's some stones and some men essentials. So heck yeah, I
You have to
bring
find a way to
subscribers and I
promote it.
got it all for y'all.
Yes. I love
Like,
it.
start promoting a subscriber box. God just told me that to tell you that.
I felt that. No, I felt that. I do. And I have the tools. I just need to do it. So again, I'm gonna take that with 2 spoons of sugar.
Oh, okay. And Gary, thank you for watching the show. Gary, I hope you know
Shout out to Gary.
that I'm going to have you on here season 4. Season 4 is a little bit more intimate than season 3. Cause I'm gonna take
Mm.
2 months off to plan that whole season because
Oh,
I plan to come back. I'm not done, y'all. This ain't my last episode. My last episode is at the end of July next month. I have so many more episodes to go. But Gary, I think I need you for my first episode when I come back. Okay. All
Mosey
right.
on down, Gary.
He's willing.
It's not gonna be until season 4 is not until September.
that's
Around
around the
our
corner.
anniversary
That's in the
month.
fall, right? That's like that's not right there.
Right. We there already.
Mm-hmm.
September is domestic violence month, I think. I don't remember, but yeah. Yeah, I'm just taking 2 months off. I didn't want to go live every Monday for a whole year. I have so much content, it's crazy. I don't even realize how hard I went. I'm trying to get picked up by BET.
Nice.
No. You're not trying. You're
You
I'm
gonna
will.
get
going
picked
to,
up by BET.
girl. When
Will.
that happens,
You're gonna
I'm
get
throwing a
picked
whole
up.
party. I know. I mean, I'm
Mhm.
throwing a whole party. You're gonna be like, "Y'all see her?" Yes, I got finally got picked.
I already
Let me
know,
have to go to the real
sis.
studio, but that's my goal. Because my like the point of this podcast is to interview women and people of color and men and everybody who have small businesses and their business can have a platform. Rappers, singers. This is supposed to be their platform. I'm just the face. That's it. That's him, just the face.
I am
And
gonna be your new fangirl. Now I'm gonna be on here like this.
and
You
what's
know?
crazy when people hear the name, they think
That's what I'm
it's
talking
my
about
sex.
today.
You know what's funny when people hear the name, most people think I'm going to ask them what one of my guests said. Don't ask me this about my sex life. I said, hold up, did you watch any episodes? I She literally asked me. I said, don't care about your sex life.
And you
She
know
said,
what's so crazy? I'm so open. I'm like an open book. I would have been like, "What you got to ask?
You know?
What you want to know?"
That's that
and
real
that's when
stuff.
I knew that I love my name, but that's when I knew I was like, you know what? I love that people think it's about something else, and it's not. I love that. I love that, and a lot of people like Crystal. What you know? Like when I go to work, they're like, you got a talk show in your bedroom. What do y'all think I'm talking about? Are y'all listening? Are y'all watching the guests I'm bringing on? I'm bringing authors. I'm bringing advocates. I'm interviewing women who have money, more money than me, where I'm trying to get to.
I know that's right. You are the company you keep. Phil?
I'm interviewing preacher wives. I'm interviewing therapists, doctors, and y'all talking about I want to ask about your sex life. I said, yeah. I said when people say it to me, I know you did not watch my podcast. I'm sorry, I know you did not watch my internet talk show. Because if you was to watch or listen, you would hear what we talk about. I only have one episode, no, 2 episodes about sex. Two out of over 40 episodes. Two. That speaks for itself.
Do your research.
I tell
Yeah.
people that all the time. When somebody tell me, "Oh, I'm not interested in your podcast," I say, "Oh, that's your loss," because you clearly didn't research me. Because my
Mm-hmm.
views are getting better, my numbers are getting better, and when I get to where I want to, when I get to BET, it's certain if I'm not interviewing you because I reached out to you when I was small. I'm not doing you. I'm sorry, that's my mindset. I'm not being
Yeah,
mean.
say it again.
You done
Facts.
did it out.
Say
I'm
it
being
louder for the
serious.
people in the back.
I'll be like, all the people I interview, I have them back on here, but not you, because you didn't even give me a time of day when I only have 300 views. That's it.
Mhm.
Yep.
Right. That's it.
I'm sorry. I'm very open about that
I
because
keep
I'm
saying
like,
that too.
As you should.
Hmm.
we have to be true to ourselves because at the end of the day, it's important.
It is.
It's so
Mhm.
important. I'm
Well,
sorry, y'all. It's just so important. Like, we have to stop sleeping on ourselves. Jessica, stop sleeping on yourself.
She ain't sleep.
I
Look at no.
needed to hear
I
that.
didn't
I
see
needed to
her
hear
light
that.
feel
up.
like she up now.
She up.
I'm
Y'all
talking
woke
about our
me up
businesses, our
today.
brands. Yes,
Y'all woke me up today.
we made her day. See, you got two new neurotypical friends.
I follow both of y'all on Instagram.
Okay,
Good.
good. You beat me
Yes.
See,
to it because I
all
was sure
neurotypical
was
people
going.
ain't bad.
No, I have
See,
to do it before I forget because I will forget.
I
Thank
need.
you. Good.
you heard me. You have two neurotypical friends. Not all. So you got this thing which you think all most neurotypical people are bad or evil.
Oh wow.
She has a
No,
reason why. I
yeah,
understand her. I understand her reason. But look, you added two new, more neurotypical friends to your neurotypical pal.
I
See, you
love
could
y'all
absolutely.
hit me. You
already.
could
Look, let
definitely
me
hit
warn you.
me
I
up.
have attachment issues. I'm very clingy. Just so y'all
She
know.
is. She be hitting me up. I don't care.
I'm
We don't.
here for you.
You
I
watch?
don't
Do you
care.
watch anime? You like food? Read books? We can talk, baby. We can talk.
I like food.
I eat. I'm a foodie.
We could exchange recipes and brainstorm
Yes.
all day. It's nothing.
See y'all. Not y'all. See. I'm thinking about y'all. See y'all. You see Nicole? I mean
I feel like I'm
Jessica.
You
like
and
I'm on here
Jessica.
with my girlfriends.
See,
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
snap,
so
I'm about to
excited
tell.
that we all got along. Like, and I'm
What
so
happened
excited
to
that
the chair?
everybody. I'm so excited that everybody. I'm so excited for this episode. I think it was a great episode.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And I
Absolutely.
just thank you for having me. Whenever I, get invited to stuff, I feel like that is like the universe telling me, okay, this is
Mhm.
where you need to be. This is where
Yes,
you should be.
ma'am.
So when you invited me on, absolutely.
Thank you. I love what I do. On Mondays, sometimes I dread Mondays because Monday's a busy day for me.
God.
But I'm like, okay, I got this. I have not canceled on one guest yet. I've been so persistent.
And Crystal, you are awesome. You are awesome.
Girl,
Thank
yes.
you.
I feel like I'm sitting on the bed with you. Move over.
You know,
And guess
y'all
what?
can
That's
talk.
why that's the name of my show, the Bedroom Talk Show. You're supposed to be in the room with me.
Look, girl, pass the cookies. Come
I
Look,
on.
feel
I'm
like
about
you
to go
are
get
gonna
my
go
sauce
places
and
though.
put
You're
it on
gonna
my
go to
head.
big places with this talk show.
Thank you. That is my goal. My goal. I'm putting in the atmosphere. BET or Netflix. That's what I want. Or any big network that's gonna give me a lot of zeros. I would sell it for a lot of zeros.
You are
What's the
absolutely
criteria
on your way.
to get there? Like, what do you got to do?
Not not a million. I need a lot more than that.
Know your worth.
I know my worth, and I want way more than that. This man,
Um,
I can't even tell my story because like I'm not going to on live. But a man has told me today I'm worth so much more than what I think, and
ooh,
I was like, I was shaking. I was like, what?
God said, here's a reminder, girl. Here you go.
And
Remind you real
then
quick.
he offered me, he wanted me to do something for him, and the amount of money he wanted to pay me, I was like, God, you ain't lied. And then when he told me I didn't know my worth, and I was like, okay, God, yeah. So if I ever sell the Bedroom Talk Show, it's gonna be for millions, not one.
Felt it.
Nah, because they have to see the vision. Because I'm still gonna be there to help with the baby. Because I'm gonna lease it. I'm not gonna sell it. That's a business mindset. You selling it, you selling all the
Mm-hmm.
rights. You lease it, you still own.
Yep.
Every time they air, you
Yep.
get paid. People don't know that, but in business, you will know that. Oh yeah, I'm not. Not don't sell. You lease.
Absolutely.
A lot of people don't know that.
Mhm.
If anybody was watching, you have a podcast, you lease, not sell. You want them
Mhm.
royalties. You want that check. That
Mhm.
royalties can go to your grandkids when you die, and
Yep.
your whole family would be set if you're smart. Look at Raven
Absolutely.
Simone. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh yes, true story. True story.
People talk about her, but they're not looking at the money or what her parents did.
Behind the
They
extra. Yeah.
they're not looking at her still having Bill Cosby money. They're not looking at none of that. But anyway, you guys, oh hey cute baby. I love babies.
Woo!
Right?
Is that your baby, Jessica?
Adorableness.
Oh, hi, cute.
My face. I got my toy. That's all I wanted.
I know, right?
Right. But I want to thank you ladies for telling your survivor stories and sitting on the panel with me as I told mine. And I think it was a great episode. And I hope you ladies keep in contact with me. And I just want to say thank you before I end this episode. My name is Crystal J. And I have a great panel. I'm going to introduce my guests again. I have Jessica Jenkins, I have Yasi, and I have Nicole. So I
Thank
just want
you
to say
for
thank you,
having
ladies.
me.
You're
So nice to
welcome.
meet you, ladies.
It's
It was
nice
a
meeting you
pleasure,
too.
loves. Pleasure. We shall chat again.
Yes,
Yes.
we should. Bye, you guys. I know we all have busy lives, so
All right.
bye, guys.
Us.
Bye.
Bye.